Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Channel 6 Community Focus. Glad you could be with us. I'm Kenny Fogle, your host, and we're going to have a great time tonight as spring is, be honest with you, caught up with me a whole lot quicker than I aimed to. We went from fall, and a little bit of winter in there, went to spring, got some weird weather, but to solve all those problems with your planting and your lawn, and everything that's going on outside, we got Mr. Robbie Smith here with us. And Robbie, what's going on?
Well, you're right. We've had a little bit of everything so far, and you know, we didn't have much of a winter.
No,
so that means that we're probably going to have a higher count of insects and insect problems.
Is that really the truth? I mean, I've heard that.
Well, it is to a degree. Yeah, you're going to get more insects because they're going to get active a little earlier. They didn't go through a deep dormancy. You didn't lose some to just death loss over a winter. So yeah, they're going to have a better start to the year. So you know, I've already seen aphids heavy on daylilies and some of the other early plants like that, and you know, they were at a level that they need to be treated. They were already causing some damage, so you have to look for those kinds of things coming out of this winter.
So aphids, and I mean, I know this. Hopefully, this is not another Japanese beetle year, is it? Or we
feel very certain that it will be.
Oh goodness, I hate those things.
Because we had a wet spring last year when they were going back into the ground after they laid their eggs. They laid their eggs, and those were able to hatch, and it was still moist throughout that time, so they started their life cycle in really good shape. And if you dig in the soil at all, you find lots and lots of grubs. You've already noticed that we had an epic flush of the May beetles back earlier a couple weeks ago. The ones that bounce off the light at night, or you find upside down on your garage floor, those brown ones. Those are the same kind of life cycle as the Japanese beetle, just different months. Japanese beetles usually June. The Mays are in May or April at this time, so we're liable to see those Japanese beetles a little earlier. And then we've got June beetles that'll show up a little later in late June, July kind of time frame.
Before we get out, and I wish could be a whole story I'll show on this, on some of the grubs you're talking about. Does that mean it'll be more moles, or?
No, see, there's a.
Was that another theory that I got wrong?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because grubs, we have found through countless research and different institutes across the country, is that moles typically will not be there because of a grub situation. It's because of the earthworms, and there's two things that are indications, reasons why you have moles. You have a good soil that they can work in, and you have an earthworm population. Neither one of those two things are bad. You want both of those things in order to grow good plants. It's just unfortunate that the moles they've had a really good last 2 or 3 years. Again, wet springs kind of help them breed and have more and more offspring, and they have a better survival rate during a what we call a normal spring. You know, it's not the ups and downs of cold and so forth. So they've had a couple of pretty good years, and we've had summers that were dry tend to take the population down a little bit. In the last 2 years, we've had really good summers for moisture levels. So, you know, those are kind of things that play into that. But, you know, folks, I want to sell you the grub control to get rid of moles, and it just simply won't work.
Really?
You've got to have a way to kill the mole, and that is the best way is this earthworm-shaped bait that you put down in the runs. And you roll them all down, you see which one pops up first. That's usually their main feeding run. You put the bait in there, and then the bait is taken by the mole, and then they're gone. Now, that doesn't mean another one doesn't come and take over the run.
Right.
You know, they're pretty territorial when they're alive, but somebody's going to take it over as soon as one's gone. So, yeah, the castor product can work for a little while. You see a lot of that on the market. It may run them off, may run them to the neighbor, but just as soon as that vaporizes and go away, they'll be right back for their feeding areas. So.
Well, so moles basically are here to stay. We just fight them, and they're always going to win.
They're here, and if you want to think about it this way, they're micro tillage. They're turning soil. They're
I knew they're actually good for your soil.
Creating organic matter. They're all kinds of things taking place there. If they weren't so destructive to the soil, the turf itself, then we wouldn't be bothered at all by them.
Right.
But that's the way it is. One of the really good, cheap ways to do it is to just roll it yard. Right after you mow it, roll it. And do it once a week if you can, and that deters them from being there. They don't like to open those runs back up again. So you can run them over to the neighbor, I guess.
Yeah, my neighbor's real happy with me. Well, let's get into what is going on this time of year. I mean, people are getting ready to put out their gardens. I know I heard you talk a few weeks ago about the first week or two of May, around Derby time or some Mother's Day, I believe you said, is the best time to maybe start planting your garden or getting it ready.
Yeah, it is. The old adage still holds true. You know, we're going to have 40-degree lows for this weekend. You know, we're seeing 41 on the forecast. So when a tomato, for example, if a tomato is sitting in the garden and the soil temperature is below 50, which can very well be the case at that time, and the night temperature gets below that 50, if you've got fruit set on there, they're going to be distorted and ugly. Anything below 50 can cause distortion and cracking and all kinds of things to the fruit. So, and they just sit there. I firmly believe that if we can stand to wait until that 1st of May, that you know, somewhere around that 10th of May, Derby Day, so on and so forth, and put them in the ground, you're so much further ahead. If you put them in 3 weeks earlier than that, and you put them in on Derby Day, those two, you're going to harvest off of those two sets of plants at about the same time. I bet there's no difference between them. And you're going to have a lot less disease on the later planted ones than you will on the first planted ones.
Because a lot of people think, well, they're getting a jump on Mother Nature, but really Mother Nature is going to go at its own pace.
The only way you can get a jump is if you've got those protected and you can keep that soil temperature warm. So our guys that are growing in high tunnels, they can do that. If you're using something like, I've heard, walls of water, which are these little structures that go up around the plant that are filled with water that insulate them and have a greenhouse effect for them, and you can get them started and going pretty good that way. And there's, you know, a dozen other things that you can do, but you know, it's really, if you can stand to wait, you're going to have a lot less disease and fruit at about the same time. So you know.
So that's, well, like I said, that's a smart thing to do, because I know everybody else tries to get a jump on that. But
if you're going to get a jump, do it with just a few of the plants. Put the rest of them out at the time that you, and see if it doesn't happen for you, that they're harvesting it about the same time.
What are you getting most of your phone calls on right now? I mean, it's obviously, I know you're very few times a year that you're either a tree disease or something's going on.
There is, you know, we're seeing a number of issues with, well, we're seeing a lot of calls on ash trees and decline of those. That's emerald ash borer. It's all over the county now. That's going to continue to be a problem for the next several years as that insect moves its way from north to south and it takes out trees.
You think it's going to basically bring the ash tree to an extinction or something?
No, the way they have seen it in the north is that it takes about 7 or 8 years for that migration of insect to move across with the great big populations. Once that big population is through, then the ash regenerates and can withstand some damage to the minor amount of insects that are remaining. It's always going to be a threat to the ash. The fortunate thing is, unlike with like Dutch elm disease or some of the chestnut blights that we've had in the past, those insects carried a disease with them. This emerald ash borer not yet is carrying a disease. So you just got the damage and the decline from the insect itself and not the disease that wipes out everything in its path as well. So, you know, that's a fortunate thing. You know, I'm doing double duty. I'm getting a lot of phone calls right now on forages. You know, the hay fields don't look the same this year as they did last year. Cool nights are another reason for that. It's going to be good quality hay, and boy, we have to make hay while we can and make good hay while we can. Don't let that height and scale of the forage out in the field dictate. In other words, don't leave it too long. You know, we're coming up on a time that it's going to be the best time.
Quality versus quantity.
Exactly. And that quality goes a long way versus the quantity. You can feed a lot less hay with its good quality. You got good protein and all kinds of things in there. So don't let it sit there and think it's going to get more to it. Go ahead and get that quantity, fertilize it again a little bit, and take another cutting in June or 1st of July if you need to. But those are some things. And then, you know, it all varies. You know, every day's a little different.
Absolutely. But are you doing a lot of weather forecasting for the summer, or is that something you basically play it as it comes?
Yeah, I'll know what happened in the summer in August and September. You know, I barely do keep up with the next day.
Yeah, well, I know farmers. I mean, it's always a big guess with them. I mean, they got to know exactly what to.
You got to kind of have an idea, especially if you're trying to get hay in, and crops out, and so forth. You know, the corn guys are getting a little reprieve this week, and they're getting some crops in the ground But we're one good rain away from putting a damper on that for 3 or 4 days.
So your job basically is Mother Nature. I mean,
Yeah.
basically from the ground, the soil, to
Making good decisions based on what she gives us or doesn't give us.
yeah, and whether it's moles or corn or tomatoes or anything else, basically, if somebody's got a question, your office is where it comes to.
Well, we hope so. We will. If we don't know the answer, we can find an answer for you, because we got a lot of great guys and gals up at the university that can help us through things. I don't know everything about animal nutrition, but I know the guys who do. And I'm learning it, but I know those guys. Jeff Limcooler, Dr. Limcooler, has helped me through 2 or 3 things already this spring. That that's not something I've always done, but I'm willing to learn and keep on going. So
have you got any special projects going on at the Extension office right now? I know they use always some kind of little blooming tour of some sort going on.
Well, yeah, we do. The Master Gardeners are working on the Blooming Bardstown Garden Tour.
Yeah.
That's coming up on June 10th. I'm working with 4-H Hort Club. This afternoon, I'm going on a little nature hike with the Nature Club, 4-H Nature Club, down at our farm in Manton. And so it's always fun, the different things that are going on.
Yeah.
We got an intern coming on Monday, so we're going to enjoy the company of an intern and the expertise of a young lady from over around Perryville is going to come join our office this summer. So that's going to be good for us as well, since we're down on human assets right now, if you will, with the retirement of Ron and FCS being still open. So.
Well, it's the nature doctors. That's what I know you ought to be up there, sort of at the UK Extension office up on South 3rd Street in Bardstown. So if you have a question, just give them a call, drop in. I know some people bring in, actually cut off a branch off a tree on occasion, bring in to you.
A lot of folks are sending me the digital images on their phones, and as long as they're in good focus, that works really well. And that works well. There's all kinds of ways to communicate with us now. So don't hesitate to give us a holler.
Okay, we'll find out whether you need acid or alkali, whatever you need. You need something, they know what it is. I can help you find out anyway. Test soil. I mean, there's all kinds of things you're doing up there. So trying to stay ahead of Mother Nature is always a challenge. But that's something if you're trained to do it, that's what we have you there for.
Yep.
All right. Well, Robbie Smith, the UK Extension officer in Bardstown, again up on South 3rd Street. What's a phone number they can get hold of you there?
348-9204.
348-9204. Give them a call. Look them up on Facebook, on the internet, and utilize them, because of that. And I do on occasion, because that's if you want to have a good lawn, good garden, good trees, all kinds of things, and fight those old pesky moles, whether they're good or bad. Sometimes you go one way or the other, and I lose my microphone here. But at the same time, give them a call up there. So, Robbie, first of all, thank you for being here, and appreciate it. And hopefully we'll come back toward the August. You can tell us what kind of summer we had.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate you being
here.
Stick around. A lot more to come here on Community Focus here on Channel 6 TV. Be right back.